Liverpool to persuade everyone in the Beatles' hometown to vote Golden at 9 a.m. Now the latest from ITV News in the West Country.
Hello and welcome to ITV News West Country with Seb and Louisa.
Thank you for joining us. The headlines this Wednesday evening. What next for the 400 residents forced to leave a Bristol tower block over safety concerns as criticism mounts towards the City Council?
What is going on basically? How come it's taking them this long for them to let us know that this building is condemned? They're clearly playing fast and loose with people's lives here.
Also tonight, a court hears from a witness that both defendants accused of killing Owen Dunn in Swindon were looking for a target on the town's streets.
We're at a Bristol charity as it celebrates 10 years of giving young people a helping hand.
And what makes a nursery so special that it's crowned the best in the country? Stay with us to find out. Good evening. First tonight, 5 hours notice to leave their homes. That's how long 400 people were given when a Bristol tower block was evacuated last night because of structural concerns.
Well, the residents of Britton House say they're furious at the lack of notice and support from Bristol City Council. Some have even defied the order to move out and told us they're staying put.
Well, those who have gone are having to stay in respite centres, hotels or with friends and family. Well, Richard Payne is live in Barton Hill for us tonight. Richard, any idea if and when people could be allowed back into their homes?
Louisa, there really is no easy answer to that question tonight. Those 400 people preparing for a second night out of their beds, out of their homes, staying mainly with family and friends, some in city hotels, some even at the council offices at City Hall. Those I've spoken to today say they just want some normality, some routine back in their lives, but that does seem a long way off tonight. The City Council, for their part, are saying they're offering all the support they can, but people are asking me, what does that look like and what's next for them? The building hundreds of people called home until last night, reduced to largely a shell today. And now questions are emerging as to whether it was ever in the right condition to house as many people as it did for as long as it did. Shaban Ali insists on staying, however, fearful, he says, of his property and without anywhere else to go.
It's not a matter of safety, it's like a complete lack of trust in the council as well. So the press knew before the residents even knew themselves. We found out when everyone started to gather here with high-vis jackets, that's when we were like, OK, this is the building, but we still haven't heard anything just yet. They're clearly playing fast and loose with people's lives here.
People who had many questions of Bristol City Council's care of them and their building, which they were told to suddenly leave last night, with only the essential belongings they could pull or push.
We got these letters, so they said 100% everything is fine, so today is not fine, so that's why we don't understand what is going on.
The council, they should have upped their game. They should have done this a long time ago.
Shocked. I'm hoping for the best, but, you know, I'm prepared for the worst.
Another community activist with friends in Barton House said large cracks in the building have been evident for years, with council contractors falling short on repairs.
It sounds like negligence. It sounds like that it's been an issue that's been ongoing for many years. For some reason, it hasn't been picked up. So, in all honesty, it's disturbing that this situation has arisen like this.
Amid the crisis, there have been many examples of a community pulling together. This cafe stayed open late last night and opened early this morning to welcome the displaced with donations of essential items.
Bit confused, obviously not knowing what's going to happen next. And actually everyone that's come in here so far has been in really, really good spirits considering what's going on.
Many families who left all they knew last night have been housed in hotels, with assurances a more permanent solution will be found. How long that will be needed is one of the many questions facing hundreds of people, many of them vulnerable and in desperate need of some answers. Well, Councillor Kai Dudd is in charge of housing for Bristol City Council and joins us now. Thank you very much for your time. When did the council know about this problem and why did you only evacuate them last night?
Yeah, so I was first briefed about this on Monday. We've conducted a survey over recent weeks that looks at the structure of the building in 3 of the apartments. Concerns were raised in the survey about the lack of structural supports between the floor and the supporting wall. It's very concerning. So we sought advice from the fire brigade as well, because there's also concerns about the level of concrete cover in the individual flats around the fire resilience. And based on the advice of the report from our structural engineers and the fire service, we took the decision that, given the information we had, and in the best interest of the safety of the residents, we took the decision to evacuate the building about 2 p.m. Yesterday.
A lot of concerned people we've spoken to, how can you reassure them tonight? There seems no way you can make this building safe suddenly, so they're going to be out for months, possibly never come back.
Yeah, how we're dealing with this, because as I said, the survey was done on three flats, is that we're taking this in a couple of phases. So the first phase is to conduct a more extensive survey on the building as a whole, just to see if the problem exists across the building. Once we've got that information back, then obviously we'll update residents on what the potential long-term future is.
But you could bring this building down, couldn't you?
So in terms of getting the information to residents about the next steps, we're probably talking days and weeks. So that's the time frame we're working to. But potentially, if we find what we found in the 3 flats across the building, then of course we'll have to make a decision at the time that information comes in front of us.
Councillor Kai Dudd, thank you very much. Well, some of the answers there, but still many questions to be answered tonight.
Richard, thank you.
Right, let's bring some other news tonight. And a jury has been told how 2 teenagers accused of murdering an 18-year-old in Swindon were looking for someone to target on the day he was killed.
Bristol Crown Court heard how Owen Dunn died from a stab wound in December last year, despite efforts by members of the public to save him. Both defendants deny murder. Victoria Davis reports.
Killed by a blade. 18-year-old Owen Dunn died on December the 4th last year in Swindon from a single knife wound that pierced his heart and lung. 2 teenagers are accused of his murder, 18-year-old Tyler Hunt and a 15-year-old who can't be named for legal reasons. Bristol Crown Court heard how the teenagers had both been carrying machetes. The prosecution told the jury they had hunted their victim through the streets of Swindon. Today the court heard from a 22-year-old witness who said he'd been stood at a cash point in Swindon when he noticed 2 boys wearing black clothing and balaclavas riding electric bikes. He said he felt nervous because he thought he was going to get robbed. He said they were acting weird and were obviously looking for someone. He told the court that later on he saw them again and believed that one of them was carrying a weapon. The witness told the court that soon after he saw these teenagers, he found out someone had been stabbed. The jury heard how members of the public had tried to perform CPR on Owen Dunn, but he couldn't be saved. The 2 defendants have admitted carrying a bladed item, but both have pleaded not guilty to murder and manslaughter. The trial continues. Victoria Davis, ITV News, Bristol Crown Court.
You're watching ITV News in the West Country with Seb and Louisa. Thank you for joining us this Wednesday evening. Still ahead before 6:30. As home genetic testing becomes more popular, we investigate just how reliable they are.
And Kate's going to be joining us with the weather. Is rain coming?
Oh, I know. It's relentless at the moment. I think we're getting a bit used to it. Yeah, more rain on the way, strong winds and a yellow warning to go with it. If you can bear it, I'll tell you more about it in just a few minutes.
And of course, the ITV News continues after us with the national and international stories at 6:30. Here's Lucrezia Millerini.
Coming up, the Supreme Court rules the government's plan to deport asylum seekers to Rwanda is unlawful. But the Prime Minister says he's still committed to a Rwanda deal and is prepared to change UK law if necessary. Overnight, Israeli tanks and soldiers storm Gaza's largest hospital. Hundreds of patients remain trapped inside. Inflation slows down, but prices are still rising. We'll have all the detail on what that means for consumers. Plus, the new bird of the century. But do you know what it's called? Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
But first, the brother of a woman who died after battling an alcohol addiction is set to run from Bristol to London in her memory. Tom Harding's sister Katie died at the age of 30 after a decade of addiction.
Well, Tom wants to raise awareness of the dangers of drinking and how we need to change our relationship with alcohol. And he came into the studio before the run tomorrow. We asked him about the challenge.
It's in memory of my sister Katie. She passed away 2 years ago, and I'm raising money for alcohol change. Katie died of alcohol poisoning. She had been an alcoholic she died when she was 30, firstly, so she'd been an alcoholic for almost half her life. And yeah, I guess I've got a sense of anger and a sense of frustration with how she was able to, almost I feel like society slightly let her down a bit with how accessible alcohol was throughout her life, and however much we tried and she tried, it was incredibly difficult for her to escape.
It must have been incredibly difficult for your family to try and help her through the struggles that she was having with alcohol.
Yeah, really difficult obviously for her the whole time. I don't think anyone, when you're trying to escape that, the amount of just she was trying so hard the whole time, but she was so deeply in the cycle of alcoholism that it was just impossible. You mentioned you feel that she was let down by society, by the system. In what way do you think that happened? The things that I'm focusing on, three things, is accessibility, health warnings, and then marketing around alcohol. And so by that, with accessibility, I mean how easy it is to purchase alcohol at different times of the day. So in Katie's case, what would have happened, and I know it happened so many times, is she would have been sober for a week or 2 weeks, got a job interview, be going on her way to the job interview, and this is something that people who don't suffer don't even think about. But it's socially acceptable. Yeah, but she would have seen discounted offers. This is the thing, it's seen discounts on alcohol in shops and able to buy them at 8 in the morning. And I know for a fact she would just go and buy them, and that not just ruins her interview, but ultimately just constantly getting set back, and it's really difficult to escape. And then with health warnings, I think, you can buy, when you go to the supermarket to buy some cheddar, you get a health warning on saturated fats, right? And I think I get that. Obesity is a huge issue, but there's a big red mark, right? If you go to the alcohol aisle, there's nothing. There's a tiny, pretty much invisible statement that says how many units, but there's no warnings anywhere, really. And I think, well, there's a whole load of commercial reasons why, but there's a lot I think we can do there.
And tomorrow you're going to start your 280-kilometre run. That's 7 marathons in the space of 4 days.
Yeah, 7.
That's all to raise awareness. And you've already raised, was it more than £10,000 for the charity? Just tell us a little bit more about what you hope to achieve.
The run is hugely emotional for me because I've been able to think about her in a whole different way, and it's a chance for us as a family to create a bit of a different narrative around the whole thing. Luckily, I quite like running, so it's that's a positive.
What would Katie have made of this?
I think she would have. She always did think I was a bit mad, but I think in terms of the distance, but I think, and I know how much she wanted to escape the cycle she was in, and I know how proud she would be of me for trying. I know everyone tried so hard, but I really do think it was near impossible for her to get out how deeply she was ingrained.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing an incredible job.
Thank you very much.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
I'm sure it'll be a breeze.
Yeah, let's see. I think try me on Sunday.
Yeah, hopefully it goes well. Thank you very much for talking to us, Tom Harding.
Guys.
So many home truths being raised when you talk to Tom, isn't there?
He's very, very impressive. There's more about his challenge and how to follow him on our website too.
Yeah. Now, Home DNA testing kits are becoming something of a new fad, with advances giving thousands of people across the region the ability to analyse their genetics.
Well, a new study has found these kits fail to identify many diseases, so should they be taken seriously as part of looking after our health? Nick Smith has been finding out more.
Genetics-based medicine has the potential to revolutionise healthcare, using the unique codes in our cells to personalise treatments or identify our risk to certain conditions. Chrissy Hammond is a biology professor at the University of Bristol and says the ability to test our DNA at home can present issues, especially if people misinterpret the results.
The home test can have some positive effects. They engage people in genetics. They also may make people think more about their own health, and they might force beneficial changes to lifestyle, where people try to counter a high risk by potentially adopting a more healthy diet or taking more exercise. But there is a note of caution there. We can give people a lot of anxiety if we're telling them that they're at high risk of something where they may not go on to develop a disease. And that in itself could also stretch the NHS, because those people will then maybe engage more with the health system for things that they maybe didn't need to.
Self-DNA testing kits have emerged on the market in recent years. Users take a swab and send a sample, which will be analysed to flag up genes which increase susceptibility to developing a disease. George Thomas's company, based in Bath, offers a variety of different health testing kits, done in either a clinical setting or at home, including ones which identify genetic risks.
There's a range of them, really. I mean, you can look at hereditary cancer risk, you can look at cardiac risk, you can look at pharmacogenomic tests, and a whole range in between, really. The public awareness of these tests is definitely increased. There's a whole range of celebrity profiles that have done a certain amount of these tests and then have gone on to have forms of preventative surgery. But the sample can be collected at home, so you don't have to leave your house, as it were, and then it's posted off to the laboratory.
But some in the academic community are sceptical. One study by University College London analysed 926 polygenic risk scores for 310 diseases. For breast cancer and coronary artery disease, the risk scores only identified an average of 11% of eventual cases, and 5% of tests produced false positives. Professor Caroline Wright recently co-authored another report in The Lancet, claiming people were opting to have unnecessary preventative surgery on the back of home testing kit results.
Obviously, diagnosis is very different from prediction of the future, and these sorts of tests really are focusing on that, and I think people need to know that they're not necessarily that accurate. And for the common diseases, the best thing you can do is still the standard things of eat healthily and some exercise and so forth. And these genetic risk predictions from these polygenic scores are actually really not that accurate. Probably the future of these sorts of tests will be much more sequencing-based tests, where you sequence all of the genes, you see all of the variation in a person, and that has much wider scope. We'll probably need to see more regulation around those sorts of tests.
Though the supplier of these home kits we spoke to insists his service always comes with responsible professional advice if a patient receives a concerning result.
And what's most important is the patient understands what the potential outcome of these tests could be, and also the psychological effects as to what actually the result means and what they're going to do with that. And the follow-up consultation that you have with the doctor ensures that you are being given the right decisive actions to take, if any.
While the science behind these kits could be described as imperfect, they do provide an insight into a future where unlocking the secrets of our DNA can completely revolutionise our approach to medicine. Nick Smith, ITV News.
Now, a nursery in Bristol has beaten the rest and been crowned the best in the country.
Yes, Archfield House has already been rated outstanding by Ofsted, but now it's also been given the title of Nursery of the Year 2023. We sent Will Charlie along to find out what makes it so special.
Music, laughter and smiles are the keys to success at this nursery in Bristol. Around 200 children come to the site in Cottam each day, where they take part in activities ranging from singing and clapping to kitchen crafts, and even a bit of carpentry. But staff say they were blown away when they were officially crowned the best nursery in the country.
We were over the moon when we actually found that we had even been shortlisted, because the quality and the standard of the entries was really high this year. When we went up to London for the award, and when we found that out that moment, we were over the moon. It was just a magical moment knowing that we had won over all the other high standard of entries.
And for Rebecca, this is also a celebration for her family. Her mum started the nursery in this building when they still lived in it in 1986. And Rebecca says it is an ongoing belief in connecting children with nature that has seen the centre expand and thrive.
We have a thriving forest school at Ashton Court, and we also operate a unique beach school, which we pioneered back in 2013.
But what do the children enjoy about this nursery?
I like to play with my friends, and I like going around and singing. I like going to beach school. I like nursery because I go in the park.
Go trips to the park.
Those activities have all been made possible by the dedication and care of the staff here at Archfield House Nursery. But Cassie Holland, who's worked here for 13 years, believes it's the children who make this place so special.
It really is its own very unique little bubble. So, even during COVID, when we were open through as key workers, and we had just key worker families with us, it really is a sacred little bubble. You walk through those doors and the children are the children. They're happy and they're content and they are so wonderful.
Ready, steady, go!
And staff here hope this latest award means they'll be able to continue making children smile for many years to come. Will Charlie, ITV News, Bristol.
Oh, well done for being the best of the best.
Very, very impressive.
Yes.
Now, we all know about the difficulties growing into adulthood can bring. Well, a boxing club in Bristol is celebrating 10 years of helping young people through the sport.
Yes, Empire Fighting Chance wants to give support to those facing challenging circumstances as they head out into the world. Verity Wishart has more.
Well, I'm here at Empire Fighting Chance boxing gym in Easton, which, as you can see, is a hub of activity, and it's offering life-changing services for young people here in the city. Now, I'm delighted to be joined by Martin, who's CEO and a co-founder here at Empire Fighting Chance. Martin, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
First of all, this place is a lifeline for many young people in the city. Can you put into words just what this centre offers and what it means to young people?
Offers, really, we use non-contact boxing or boxing training combined with psychology, therapy and careers to help some of those young people that are the most vulnerable in the city. We tend to work with young people that come from often complex and chaotic home lives, and we keep them in school, we get them out of gangs, we reduce violence and we get them jobs.
Absolutely, it sounds like amazing work you do. And celebrating 10 years, hopefully here's to another 10. How important is funding in making sure you can carry on?
Funding's extremely important, obviously, because cash is king, but the city's been kind to us. We've had lots of support from businesses, national funders give us money, so we've been in a sort of position where our journey actually has been fairly easy from a financial position because people want to support what we do. The hardest thing we've got is we've got a lot of demand on our services, and it's a limited number of supply, so we've got waiting lists and we've got more young people ringing and more young people ringing. So our biggest problem is how we're going to meet that demand.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on an amazing 10 years.
Thank you.
Now delighted to be joined by some of the young people who are benefiting from this charity. Now, Chloe, I know you've been coming here for a couple of years. Just what does this place mean to you?
It's amazing. I think when I first came here, I was just struggling a lot in college, wasn't getting the best grades, and counselling just wasn't really working for me. And so I came here, was actually referred, and I did one-to-one sessions with my trainer Courtney, and it was therapy without realising it. You kind of just release your adrenaline, you're able to talk when it feels right, and you kind of build a relationship with your trainer that you feel like you can trust them and you can just be open with them.
And Zach, what have you learned by your sessions, through your sessions here?
I mean, it's helped me a lot with my boxing, it's helped me a lot, built myself up a lot, and I've been training here for about 2 to 3 years now, and I haven't regretted a single minute.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your experiences, guys. Well, 10 years of offering services and support here at Empire Fighting Chance, and here's to another 10 of supporting young people across the city.
Absolutely. Long may the funding continue to keep places like this going.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of funding that's needed, and indeed, hopefully, another 10 years in the future as well. Time now for the latest weather details, and Kate's at the Met Office. What more can you tell us, Kate?
Well, it feels like we're in a bit of a fight with the weather at the moment, isn't it? Fighting to see a little bit of sunshine. But just take a look at this. In Spain, they've had, well, potentially a record-breaking November with a high of 33.2 this week. Little bit jealous of that, but not at all jealous of Sweden. Not going to pronounce that name, but they had one of their coldest November nights with minus 32.5. Now, you might be wondering, why do we need to know this? Well, actually, it is a bit closer to home because those difference in temperatures are really driving the jet stream at the moment. Quite a strong jet stream, and it's really powering in lots of low pressures across the UK, and that's why our weather at the moment, well, it's pretty changeable, isn't it? A little bit up and down. We've had a bit of an up today. We saw a bit of sunshine, didn't we? John sent this in from Bath, a beautiful weir. They're looking a little bit full though. I'm afraid it is going to get a bit of a top up over the next 24 hours. Let's take a look at the forecast.
Whatever the weather, it always feels like home. Valent Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV West Country weather.
So it's all looking rather changeable over the next few days. Any more rain on our saturated ground really isn't very welcome. But I'm afraid it's looking pretty wet tomorrow. A bit of hope for Friday. More rain, I'm afraid, on Saturday. We've had a little ridge of high pressure today, but now we've got this system pushing in over the next few hours. Cheeky little ridge of high pressure for Friday. But then something waiting for us for the weekend. But over the next few hours, we'll start to see cloud increasing and then rain pushing in, reaching all areas by midnight. That yellow warning coming into force from the Met Office for the rain. Not particularly heavy, but pretty persistent and prolonged throughout the night. The wind picking up as well, gusting up to around 45 miles per hour along the coast. Temperatures, well, fairly academic, but around 6 or 7 degrees. So tomorrow morning, the rush hour is not going to be great, I'm afraid. A lot of surface water on the roads, still got that yellow warning in force. Gradually easing into the afternoon, something a little bit more showery. So quite blustery in any showers, but gradually that wind easing down. And temperatures, well, again, fairly similar at around 7 or 8 degrees. So after that, this is the next system we've got heading our way for the weekend. It does scoot through, but then we've got some occlusions pushing through for Sunday. That's just going to pep up any showers that we see. So that means it's all rather mixed over the next few days. Friday, not too bad. The risk of a shower, but plenty of sunshine around. Saturday, as you can see, pretty wet and miserable, but feeling a bit milder at around 15 degrees. And then some blustery showers around on Sunday, but hopefully a little bit of sunshine chucked in there as well.
Valent Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV West Country weather.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully there is a bit of sunshine.
Oh, fingers
crossed.
crossed.
Looking pretty miserable out there. And that's goodbye from the two of us. I'll be back at 10:30 this evening.
After the break, the ITV News continues. But for now, from all of us here, goodbye.